The next thing we want to do is make sure that horse will back out of our space. And there are several different ways that we can do this. One of the most effective ways is to just pull back on the halter. And again, we're teaching the horse to yield to pressure. And as we do this, in all of these exercises, we have talked about rhythm. We need to understand that the horse responds to rhythm. So when the horse walks backward, I will try to get in rhythm with it, and my legs will move with the horse's front legs. So if I want to speed up the action, I increase the speed of my steps, and that makes the horse go back faster. So this horse is doing it quietly, relaxed, and we certainly want to try to maintain that. We're always trying to maintain a good partnership with the horse, get the horse to be a dance partner, and not have the horse afraid of us. The horse needs to be respectful, but it needs to not be afraid, because when it's afraid, it basically shuts down. It thinks about getting away, running, whatever, defending itself, protecting itself, and it will not think about what it has to do. Another thing that we want, in addition to lateral flexion, where we pull the horse around on the side, we also want vertical flexion. And we can do that as was demonstrated before. Usually if we hold the halter, just put a little pressure with our fingertips at the pole, and we press until the horse lowers its head. And a lot of times the horse will just kind of tolerate that pressure. So this is something that must be repeated over and over. There. So when the horse lowers its head, I will just give it a minute to think about that, and I will not bug it. I will not go right back to the same thing. So after a minute, we can start again. And I just hold the halter just to ask the horse to hold his head straight. And I'm kind of pressing with my fingertips and my fingernails. She's pinning her ears a little bit, and sometimes there. You don't want to just push the head down. You want to put pressure and let them get away from the pressure. So we want to just continue working with this until the horse learns that if it lowers its head, you're going to leave it alone. Again, we're always working, whatever way we put pressure, whether it's steady pressure where we're pressing on the pole, or whether it's pressure that comes in a rhythm, we want the horse to know that it has to do something when we apply pressure. And I think that's the basics of groundwork. You can send your horse over obstacles to make it more challenging. You can even back up over poles. You start working with the halter. You can put a bridle in its mouth and work one rein at a time. But basically, this is how we begin getting our horse to be better at groundwork. And everything we do on the ground transfers to the saddle.
Howard Cormier basically explained the groundwork exercises, the things we get control of a horse with. The thing we want to do is think in terms of how we relate that to when we ride a horse or the other things that we do. And basically we want to be able to get control of this horse's face, control his shoulder, his belly, and his hip. When we get on him, everything that we do has to do with being able to control his shoulders, so we can move his shoulder over a step or two. We can reach back here and move his hip around, or we can push him straight sideways by having a spot right in the middle. Oh, girl. So we can get a side pass. Ultimately, when we get on the horse, we're going to have three buttons: to control his shoulder, control his belly, and control his hip, and we're going to have control of his face. If we've got those things, then we're going to have a pretty good riding horse. Now, the other thing that we want to think about is, for those young people who are interested in showmanship, we've got all the basic concepts for showmanship. In showmanship, we lead at a walk and a trot, we stop, we back up, we turn around, and we set up. So we've got this horse where he's leading, we can turn him around, and we can get our showmanship turn around simply by doing this, or we can go the other side and get the showmanship turn around, go in the other direction. And we have to do a little practice to get this horse, but ultimately be able to control his shoulder. Now, In some of the advanced showmanships now, they're starting to do things such as move the hip. So we're going to go back here and ask the horse to move his hip around, keep his shoulder straight. So we've got that kind of control. All right, so if we're doing a showmanship pattern and we walk or trot to a certain place, we stop, we turn him around, walk or trot someplace else, stop, back him up. We've got all the control mechanisms that we need to develop a showmanship horse. Now, this mare has never been in a halter class or showmanship, but you've got the controls that's needed to do that. Now, the only other thing that you need to do is to be able to set the horse up and set their feet square. The only other thing we've got to add to our groundwork program to finish a showmanship horse is to be able to move their feet. So what we're going to do is pull down on the halter and move the hind feet. We're going to have to let the right hind foot be a set foot. We're going to move this left hind foot, move it forward, move it back, move it forward, move it back until this horse starts to find that spot in the middle that we want for showmanship. She sets her toe in the right place. Then we're going to pick up on her head and ask her to move her front feet. We're going to do that by taking our toe and bumping this foot around until this horse learns to set it in the position we want to, and then we've got to set up. All right, so with our groundwork, where we can lead him, back him up, turn him around, move his hip, and then all we've got to do is teach him to set his feet, and we've got a showmanship horse. Now, with a little practice for 2 or 3 months, this mare could be really shiny in showmanship. So the groundwork relates to a lot of different things, either just getting the horse safe and comfortable, or secondly, being able to show in showmanship, or being able to do a lot of the other things. Some of the shows now are starting to have trail classes in the ground where you send your horse over obstacles, through obstacles, back them through L's, all those kind of things. And they're having the 2-year-old pleasure futurities on the ground on a lunge line, so that or yearling futurities, so that you walk, trot, and lope in both directions. Just getting more control on the ground, getting more control of the horse, and all that translates to what we do on the horse. Everything we do in terms of controlling the face, shoulder, hip, and the belly on the ground relates directly to what we want to do when we get on his back.